Shravanam Diaries podcast.
Hare Krishna everyone, we're continuing to read the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Chapter 9, The Most Confidential Knowledge, Text 13. Mahatmanastumum partha devim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananyamanaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Purport. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. And how is this effected? That is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the test for all of us, right? Are we surrendering ourselves to our material destiny and are in control, under control of material nature and karma and everything like that? Or if we surrender our soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we become free from the control of material nature. But we're talking about full surrender, right? That is the preliminary formula. So this is the formula of freedom, actual freedom from material nature. Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. So what is that guidance of the spiritual nature? That's Srimati Radharani, right? The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Daivi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of Great Soul, Mahatma. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. I remember one time Charudeshna Prabhu was giving class. Charudeshna Prabhu is this incredible speaker, brahmachari, and he took sannyas already. His name is Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. No, Bhaktivedanta Sadhu Swami Maharaj, yes. Very wonderful preacher. And he was saying something like, we should not, he was, that lecture that I'm referring to, he was saying that don't try to idealize devotees. Like, don't think that devotees should be ideal. Devotees should be real. And in the same class, he was saying that some fellow brahmacharis were really like complaining in the sense that, trying to be brahmacharis, trying to think about Krishna day and night, but then you go into the public transport when you're going on book distribution, and then somebody plays this mundane song about some girl who is like dying out of her lust after some lover of hers. And Charudeshna Prabhu, Bhaktivedanta Sadhu Maharaj, he was saying that, we can't, isolate ourselves from the material world, but we can see it in connection with Krishna, that this particular singer is singing something, but deep, deep, deep inside, they're actually singing for Krishna, because ahameva sameva gray, to see everything in connection with Krishna is reality. So then here, when Prabhupada says Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, he knows perfectly well Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. The only thing we can do that is if we actually see everything in connection with Krishna, not just isolate ourselves. And this is something that I believe that when I was growing up, my parents, they really helped me in that way. That I know that some fanatic devotees, not fanatic, they just didn't know how to properly apply this principle. Like in the 90s, in Moscow, in Petersburg also, the parents would completely isolate their children from the material world, and they would think that this is a good idea because the child is, protected, the child is, safe from Maya. But then these kids would grow up, and the first thing they do is they snap and they go on a roller coaster around material nature, and they can't connect it to Krishna because they've never been exposed to it, and because they've never been trained to see everything in connection with Krishna as a kid. So, and for some reason, the most kids who grow up in Krishna consciousness that I've seen are the sanest one, the most balanced ones, are the ones who have seen spiritual life and material life side by side, and intelligently they chose the spiritual life, and they see material life in connection with the spiritual. And there's no other way in that way. I mean, if we are raising Rishi Shringis, right? Rishi Shringi never knew what is a woman. Who is a woman? He didn't know. Rishi Shringi was peacefully living with his father, and it was working out until what happened. So Prabhupada writes, there is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. So this attraction to Krishna, meaning you're not concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. Yeah. Some people have weakness in the demigods, some people have weakness in human beings, some people have weakness in demigods in the form of human beings. Yeah. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They're always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. Unswerving, is this from the word not being swayed? Okay, I'll need to check dictionary. Yeah, so it means steady, constant, not becoming weakened, meaning not changing. Unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. There are many situations where our service becomes swerved. Is that how you use that word? But our service becomes weak. For example, my Guru Maharaj always said that there are devotees, like a Prabhu and a Mataji, a man and a woman. They're both engaged in service day and night. And then they get married, and then you don't see them. You don't see both of them for years. And when I heard that in the lecture of my Guru Maharaj, I was like, wow, yeah, why? Is this because of Maya? Is this because of illusion? And then I got married, and I literally like disappeared from everybody's radar for a couple of years. Now I understand. I have Vijnana, I have realized knowledge. I understand what happened, but I will quote Karuna Chandra Prabhu again, who said that when you get married, you become stupid for some time. Because, like for a long time you've been like a brahmachari or a brahmacharini, and you've been controlling your senses, dedicating yourself fully in devotional service. Then you get married, then you become stupid, and then you become, after a couple of different people have different time frame, then you become more intelligent than you were before you got married. And I was like listening to that, and I'm like, yes, Karuna Chandra Prabhu, this is so true. Because you get so overwhelmed with the routine of the household life, and there's this person with whom you can talk day and night, who is interested in you, and you're interested in him, and then you have your own little world. And another thing is that these two different worlds, they're kind of becoming one. Just like there's a yellow paint, there's a blue paint, you mix it up, it becomes green. So that merging of the two worlds is starting to happen. But then after it's done, after you've already you get used to each other, then you can peacefully do service together. And then you come back, and in the words of Taylor Swift, and I come back stronger than the 90s trend. You come back stronger. Yeah. So in this way, that sometimes like how to serve in a way that this how do you call it, the napor, как это in Russian, I know how to say it in English, I'm not sure. When you're opening the tap of the water, you open it, or if you like open the flame of your gas stove, how to keep the flame burning in the same same I don't know this word, same, okay, let's go with a tap of water. How to open the tap in the way that the strong flow of water is there. Not that here Prabhupada says unswerving. It means that constantly there is a strong flow of the water. The water is flowing with great speed, mass, not that you open the tap and then you close and there's a tiny spring of water, how do you call it? So in the same way, I feel that my husband told me that some things that can break will break and should break. Sometimes we build our Krishna consciousness based on some temporary reasons, and when they break, we're like, why would I need Krishna consciousness now? For example, if you came to Krishna consciousness just because there are nice people in Krishna consciousness, and then you meet a devotee who is not very nice, then that base of your Krishna consciousness is broken, and then you're like, well, I better go to the material world because there are nice people, right? So how to achieve that unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness is by, I believe strongly, that if you have strong connection with your spiritual master and with Srila Prabhupada, then and with Krishna, like basically Guru, Krishna, and you. When I was like 15, I remember that there was a crisis in my family. Was I 15? Yeah, it was like 15, 16. There was a crisis in my family, and I remember that at that time I kind of separated myself mentally from my parents, because I felt that kind of support, it was not there at that time. And I remember that in geometry they say that a triangle is a steady figure. Triangle. Why? Because every carpenter knows that if you want to hang a shelf, you have to put one stick of wood, you know? There's a wall, there's this flat shelf, and there's one stick, so it creates a triangle. If you have a square, you can press on it and it may break, but a triangle is a very steady figure. So I remember that I was writing in my diary that my triangle is me, Shri Guru, and Krishna. Like that. Of course, we also have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastras. This is a triangle. It's very steady. So I believe all of us have to find their own ways of how to engage in that unswerving service of the Lord. What keeps you steady? What keeps your flame, always high? What keeps your tap of water always flowing vigorously? What keeps you doing that? And then you find it, and then you kind of build on that. Okay. Alright, so we're going to stop here for today, and tomorrow we shall read the next verse. Verse 14, starting with Satatam Kirtayanto Mam.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare